Okei, taas jatkuu Digital Sales Day. Kello on 3 ja ihmisiä tulee paikalle. Mä otan tähän alkuun tämmöisen pienen esittelyn. Sen jälkeen mä puhun vähän suomeen, sen jälkeen vaihdetaan englanniksi ja meillä on HubSpotista Lisa Toner mukana. Mukava, että olette mukana jaksaneet olla koko päivän. Tämä on huikea setti. Mä oon seissut tässä nyt kello 8 lähtien, itse asiassa 7.30 lähtien. Ja jos multa tulee puuroa suusta, niin se johtuu vaan siitä, että se on pikkasen aika on mennyt. Tämä on loistava päivä. Meillä on 919 ihmistä rekisteröitynyt Digital Sales Dayhin. Twitterissä Digital Sales Day hashtag on yksi Suomen tämän hetken trendaavimmista hashtageista. Tätä katsotaan, tätä meidän Digital Sales Day-lähetyksiä eri paikoista. Sari laittoi kuvan hevostallilta hevosten kanssa. Meillä on useita kisastudioita, niin sanotusti. Ihmisiä katsoo ympäri ämpäri neukkareita ja kotisohvia ja kotitoimistoja ja muuta tämän tyyppistä. Laittakaa muuten kuva jostain himmeen siististä kotitoimistosta tai kisastudiosta. Hashtag on Digital Sales Day Twitterissä. Yes. Ja sitten meillä on muutama kirja. Täällä on digimuutos.fi ja sitten Mika Rubanovicin haasteena myynnin johtaminen kirja, jota me jaetaan sitten aktiivisimmille Twitter-postaajille. Joo, Sari on melkein kyllä nyt ansainnut tuon, kun se sai sen. Meidän pitää Sarille laittaa, Angela muistuttaa, että laitetaan Sarille tuommoinen kirja siitä hevospostauksesta. Se oli erittäin hieno systeemi. Laittakaa hei kysymyksiä, voi laittaa suomeksi, seuraava sessio on englanniksi, niin Twitteriin hashtag Digital Sales Day tai sitten GoToWebinar siihen chat-paneeliin. Joku sieltä kysymyksen laittokin tällä hetkellä. Vau, kiitos Sari. On se vaan niin, että kyllä Sari, semmoinen juttu, että jos hevostalleille menee ja kuuntelee Sales Communications Digital Sales Day webinaaria, niin on se palkinto ansattava. Se on vaan tällä tavalla. Hei, palautelomakkeen saatte webinaarin jälkeen ja pääsette siihen sitten vastaamaan. Homma nauhoitetaan ja saatte sitten webinaarin nauhoitteen jossakin vaiheessa ensi viikolla sitten itsellenne. Mutta I will change my language to English now because we have a great guest from Dublin, Ireland, Lisa Toner from HubSpot. And we are going to talk about inbound sales. Thanks, Lisa, for joining, and yeah, stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Yanni, and thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be a part of Digital Sales Day. I've been trying to keep an eye on the hashtag. I don't really know what anybody is saying, but people seem really excited by it, so that's great. So as Yanni said, everyone on the call, my name is Lisa Toner, and I'm from HubSpot. I sit in the Dublin office. I've been working at HubSpot for coming up on 4 years. I've worked on both the marketing product and the sales product, so I have a great understanding of what both our personas are looking for, which helps me talk to you guys today about inbound sales and also how marketing can help salespeople start to adapt their sales process to be more aligned with how the modern consumer, that's you and I, like to buy things today. So we shall get started with some cold hard facts. So most of you might have seen this statistic before, or maybe just have started to get a feel for this, that 60% of the purchasing decision has actually been made before any of your leads actually get to have a conversation with you. And that makes it really hard for salespeople who are used to being the gatekeepers of information to figure out how they can best progress these leads into closed deals. So the reason for that is because now more than ever, you and I as consumers have access to so much information more than ever before. So we can literally go online and Google the challenge that we have, and a ton of content is going to come up both from your company, from your competition's websites or blog posts. I can find out everything that I need to know about this product that I'm thinking about buying before ever speaking to a salesperson. I can even go on to social media and I can ask people I've never met just by using a hashtag or by using different keywords, who has bought this product before and what did you think about it? So now I have all of that information at my fingertips, and the salesperson no longer has that power. It's the buyer who has the power. And not only do we have all of that information at our fingertips, we also have the power to eliminate and screen out anything that we don't want to hear. So I don't know about everybody on this webinar, but I do not watch TV ads anymore. I'm either binge watching my favorite shows on Netflix, or if I'm sitting in front of the TV and ads come on, I'm switching over to my phone or my iPad and I'm looking on Facebook or something that's a lot more interesting and relevant to me than those TV ads. So that's probably not news to a lot of you on the call. We know that the internet has been around for a while, content marketing has been a thing. Then why really are salespeople not keeping up to pace with this? So typically what sales are used to doing is trying to reach out to as many people as possible. It's a numbers game. It's definitely about the volume. The more calls and emails that you make, the more deals that you're going to make. And at least that's the mindset for a lot of salespeople today. We're probably used to getting a purchase list from marketing, which only consists of a name, a phone number, an email address. But there's no context there. These people don't know who you are. They don't know what you're selling. They don't care. They don't want to hear from you. And also, because it's such a numbers game, these salespeople are really not taking the time necessary to learn about the other human on the other side of these emails and phone calls. What's important to them? How can I be relevant and offer value to them? So they're just sending this generic message as quickly as possible, and it's not working. And as I said, it's not news to you guys that this isn't working, but instead of changing your entire sales strategy, which takes time and effort, salespeople tend to just do more of what they're used to. And studies have actually shown that salespeople, once they find something that has worked in the past, they stick to it and they keep hammering the phones and email without really thinking, is this getting me as much output as I need? So really what we've been doing as salespeople is using automation and using technology that's evolving and becoming available to us to do more of the things that we're used to. So yes, you can automate email. Should you? Not unless you're actually personalizing that email and making the message that you're sending super relevant and valuable to the person you're sending it to. So it turns out what we've learned over the last few years is that you can't automate crappy sales and marketing. It doesn't work, but automation does work to an extent when you do it right, and we'll jump into that a little bit later in the presentation. So what is the answer then? What should salespeople be doing? And that's think about yourself as a buyer. How do you like to be sold to? You know, you probably want to do all of your research first. All of that information is available to you. We're actually becoming very antisocial humans, which is a terrible thing. I don't think it's good, but it's the truth. And we want to talk less and less to humans that we don't know. So think about how you're working with your marketing team to have all of that information available on your website or even off your website for when they're doing that initial awareness research in the consideration phase. When they're getting a short list together, make sure that you have the content available for them to make sure that you're on that short list. And then when you do have a conversation with them as a salesperson, you need to be a consultant. You need to advise them and help them and offer value at every touch point that you have with them. So then if that's the way that we're moving forward, everybody asks, yes, that's idealistic, that's great, but how do I actually define and structure a process that works and matches the way that the current buyer wants to buy? First things first, and this is the same with marketing as it is with sales and everything that you should do in business, it's about the customer. So you need to spend time, marketing and sales can work together on creating a buyer persona, which is a profile of your ideal customer. So get together, spend a ton of time researching, you know, who are those customers who spend a lot of money with you, but are getting a ton of value from your product or service, so much so that they're sticking around with you, they're renewing their contract every year, and they're inviting their friends because they know that if they have the same problems that they did, they're going to get a lot of value from what you're offering. But creating that buyer persona is not enough for salespeople. Yes, you can go into a call and say, hey, so-and-so, you're in this industry and you're in this role. I know that you're probably struggling with these challenges, but people don't want to feel like they're part of a crowd. They don't want to feel like, this person has called me because they bucketed me into one of their buyer personas. I have my own unique needs and challenges, and a salesperson needs to take the responsibility to respect that and respect the person on the other end of that phone call, that they should be taking the time to research them, their company, look on LinkedIn what role they're in, what are their key responsibilities. You can figure out very quickly then what their goals are and how you can match what you're offering to help them to achieve that. And I'm not just making this up. We have surveyed our customers and we've asked them, you know, what does it take for a salesperson to offer the most valuable to you? What's the best experience when you're talking to a salesperson? And it's pretty straightforward. They just want to be listened to. If you're not listening to your prospects and you're not asking great questions, listening to the answers and asking 5 more questions, you're not really going to be able to find out the most value that you can offer that person, which means all the way down the rest of your funnel, they're not going to get the most value from your product, they're not going to retain as happy clients, and they're not going to refer you to their friends. So think about it that way. Listening is key to everything about being successful in sales. The next thing you need to consider is, yes, I know who I'm targeting, but it's even more important to target them with the right message at the right time. This is the inbound sales methodology that we teach here at HubSpot, and it's fundamental to being successful in sales as well. So people who are in that initial discovery phase, when they've maybe just identified that they have a problem, need very different content and help from you as a salesperson as someone who's in the decision phase. So we take every lead that we have and we map them across our buyer journey. We also map our marketing content across the buyer journey so that we have the right messaging at the right stage. In the awareness phase, you're probably looking at content that maybe you have to sell the concept of your solution before you ever sell the features. Someone might not understand fully the scope of the problem that they have. They might not understand that there are solutions out there that can help them be more effective at what they're trying to achieve. So in this stage, you're really just talking to them about what's available to them and maybe present the before and after picture of what their life could be like if they did have a solution like this. That's a very different story to someone who's already got a short list. They know what their problem is. They know how to solve it. They probably know how much they need to spend for it. And at that point, you're just trying to say, well, from what I can hear from you when I'm in this discovery phase and really figuring out your unique requirements, you have this other competitor on your list, but they can't offer you that one thing that you definitely need. So you're more of a consultant and an advisor at that point. Rather than selling them on the idea of a solution, you're getting into the nitty-gritty. So vastly different messages there, and if you don't map this out, again, you're going back to those old tactics of just a generic message, generic case studies. It's irrelevant, and it's not going to help you close deals with customers who are going to be with you for a lifetime. And again, we asked our customers about this. We're not just making it up here at HubSpot. So you can see here that most people, they really just want to talk to someone when they've already done their research online and they have that short list of vendors that they think are the best for what they're looking for. In the awareness stage, very few people want to be talking to a salesperson. And that's where, again, you need to be working with your marketing team to make sure that when they're doing their research, you are coming up time and time again, and your content is solving problems that your product can actually solve. That's how people are going to get to know you, they'll like you, and they'll trust you as someone who can actually help them. And I don't think that marketing are the only people to be creating that content as well, because you as a salesperson need to be seen as someone who really understands the industry that your prospects are in, really understands the challenges that they go through, and are an expert that they can rely on. Like if they do go with you and they go into the implementation process, they want to know that it's going to be smooth, they can trust in you, and it's going to be okay. They're not going to look like an idiot to their boss 6 months down the road when this big investment didn't pay off. So if you are a salesperson, do try and build your own personal brand, whether it's just posting to LinkedIn or even just sharing content that marketing is creating. It's really going to help you build trust with your prospects. Then when you do get to the consideration phase, they're not going to have any problems with reaching out to you with questions and scheduling calls with you and meetings and just getting your input because they value it. Then at the decision phase, you've really, you've done most of the work required. This person has decided they want to go with you. So your job really is to be on standby. When they have a question, you answer it. When they don't have a question, take a step back. And when you do all of this stuff, you really move away from that interruptive, seller-centric strategy that's really just diminishing in returns, and more people are tuning you out and it's not going to work. And you move towards this buyer-centric strategy where you're really just offering value to your leads. You're being really relevant. You're giving them content that helps them. Always be helping. Dan Tyre talked about that in the session this morning. I love it. And I think that's key. You need to be seen as someone who's helpful, educating them on everything that they need to know to make a decision. So then the last part of this is how you work with your marketing team to get all of this set up. And I know that Dan, if you missed his session, do watch the recording. Have so much respect for Dan Tyre. He talked about the importance of sales and marketing alignment. I'm going to take you through that as well, just because it's so important. I'll show you how important it is right now. Companies with strong sales and marketing alignment have a higher growth of revenue by 64%. Dan and I were talking about this yesterday. The old statistic was 20%, and I wanted to make sure we had the most up-to-date statistics, and I was blown away by this. It's tripled in importance nowadays. If you don't have sales and marketing alignment, you're missing out on so much opportunity. So a lot of the questions that came in for Dan's session were about how to get set up, how do you get started. So for me, there's 3 key steps to being successful with marketing. That's having a common language between sales and marketing, getting a process and a system set up to track and have each team be held accountable, and then using tools to make sure that we're as effective and efficient as possible in communicating between the 2 teams. So first things first, you need to be speaking the same language. I think the salespeople on this call will definitely agree with this slide. What is an MQL? Like, when should someone be passed from marketing to sales? And it's really only when sales thinks that they're ready to be sold to. Someone, for example, the previous company that you used to work for, when someone came to our website and downloaded an ebook, they would go to sales. But sales didn't want to talk to someone who downloaded an ebook because they are not showing any intent to purchase. So it's very important that both teams sit down and define when is the point when someone is ready to talk to sales. Because you really want to have sales spending their time with the people who are showing intent to purchase. Marketing can keep nurturing people who have downloaded an ebook until they raise their hand and say, I want a demo or I want a free trial. And that's possibly, for us here at HubSpot at least, when you want to pass them off to sales. So super important to define your life cycle stages and who's responsible for what. Again, Dan touched on this earlier in the day, but these are our life cycle stages. I would say they could vary for your company. And the other thing is, whilst we imagine the funnel to work perfectly and people will come in as a prospect or visitor and they'll download something and become a lead and they'll become an MQL and then an SQL and then an opportunity and then a customer, it doesn't always work that way. So people can jump around from stage to stage. They might become an MQL at one point and then it doesn't suit to become a customer until a year later. They might download something, become a lead again. It can go anyway. So what I would recommend that you do is spend some time figuring out lead scoring, because that's probably a better indicator than life cycle stage. You can set up lead scoring to look at different behavioral data, look at different interactions they have with you on the website, demographic behavior, how big is the company, how many employees, these are indicators of having budget to spend, like what technology are they also using, which means they understand that the importance of having good technology in their business, or maybe not. There's a ton of different things that you can consider for lead scoring, but it is a great way to help marketing and sales prioritize those who should be passed off to sales, and sales should be spending their time working and qualifying and selling to. So then the next step is setting up the SLA, or service level agreement. So here at HubSpot, we take this super seriously. It's the promise between marketing and sales that we will work together to achieve a common goal, which is to grow the business. I think historically, marketing was viewed as arts and crafts, or a team that really didn't have any impact on the bottom line as much as sales did, and that's completely shifted now. Now that we know 60% of the sales cycle belongs to marketing now, in educating in all of these leads in the awareness stage. So it's so important for these two teams to work together. Marketing should agree to a defined number and quality of leads, so that's where your lead score is going to come in again. So marketing will say, in order for you guys to hit your revenue target this month, we can figure out how many leads that we need, at what quality, at what stage of the buyer's journey. And then sales needs to promise something to marketing as well, because we're not going to generate all of these leads and then have you guys not follow up with it. So sales should really agree to marketing that they will follow up with the leads within a certain time frame. We know how important speed is to follow up, but also with the context and depth that we want to offer these leads, because we want to make sure that everyone who comes into contact with our company and our brand, whether that's through our marketing content or through the sales experience, is receiving value. And sales are having meaningful conversations with them based on all of the context that marketing is able to deliver to them. So this is the process to build marketing alignment. I'm just going to skip through this animation because it's a bit slow. So the first step is to determine business growth, and that should be, you know, the revenue number, the goal that you have for the quarter or the month, whatever it is. You can then, from that point, reverse engineer everything that needs to happen to ensure that you hit those goals. Can't put a number on making sales reps do what you want them to do, but you can put a goal against it for sure. So the first side of this, or the first step, is to calculate the marketing side, and we'll jump into that now and give you those calculations. So you can go back to the office tomorrow and go, I now have our goals. I'm going to help us get to our revenue goal, no problem. So the first thing you need to do is, in order to figure out how many customers you need, you just take that revenue goal and divide it by your average sales price. If you don't have a CRM that can give you this number, export your data from wherever you keep your contacts, your customer database, and match it with where you're storing your revenue information, and you can get it that way. But it's super important for you to figure out what your average sales price is. There's a lot of ways that you can get better forecasting, actually. Once you have your average sales price, you can start forecasting by value per lead, per source, and you can get really detailed on this stuff. Then you calculate how many leads do you need to get in order to make that customer goal achieved. So you take that customer goal and you divide it by your lead to customer close rate. If you don't have the salespeople, work with your marketing team. But again, take it a bit further than just a generic lead to close rate. If you can, take it by lead type or lead source, because if you think about it, someone who's coming in and finds your website for the first time, downloads something, their close rate is going to be very different to someone who's already been a customer for a year, but they're up for renewal. So think about these different close rates and get your leads goal based on where those leads are coming from, if you have that granularity. If you don't, find an overall lead to customer close rate, but realize that it's probably not super accurate whenever you're getting this. The next thing is to figure out, based on your industry, because every industry is different, based on the length of the sales cycle, what is the optimal follow-up or response time for that industry. So we know that if you respond within 5 minutes, the chances of closing a deal are exponentially higher, but also the deal goes 35 to 50% of the all deals close to the vendor who responds first. So regardless of what that minute or hour or day follow-up time is, the first responder will typically get the deal. So figure out what it is in your industry and create an SLA for it. Make sure that it's taken seriously, because you don't want to be leaving any opportunities left on the table. The next thing to do is to set up your reporting. So once you know how many leads you need to achieve within a certain time frame, it's very easy to set up that reporting. HubSpot will help you do that really well, or whatever software that you're using to track your lead generation activities. And then the next thing is to set up that response time for the sales side. So making sure that they're being held accountable to following up as quickly as you have agreed to do. So now we get into the tools section. These are HubSpot tools, but it would be selfish of me to say that you can only use these tools. I would recommend it. Most of them are free, and I'll call out which ones are free. So you guys should definitely just go and start trying them out immediately. I'm biased, of course, but I think these are really valuable tools for both salespeople and marketers. So the first thing you can do is, instead of getting that purchase list where you just get the name, the phone number, or an email, now we have the ability to collect information on so much more about our leads that we can leverage in the sales process. So you can see every email, and this is in our free CRM. So HubSpot CRM, totally free, go get it. It will track every interaction that you have with a lead. So if they've been on your website, if they've downloaded something, if they've been on a webinar, if you've emailed them already, if someone else in the company has emailed them, you can see a complete history of all of their transactions and interactions with your company, which makes it so much more easy to reach out to them with some context and have a more meaningful conversation. One thing that we can do in HubSpot marketing is automate pricing page follow-ups. So if you picture this scenario, you have a lead that you've been working for 6 months. They haven't really been showing all that much interest, but you have a feeling they are thinking about it. And 3 months after you've last talked to them, you get a notification that they've been on your pricing page. Not only do you get a notification, but they get an automated follow-up. You could have it come from you, a marketer, your VP of sales, your CMO, whoever you have. You can have it come from them. You can say, hey, just noticed that you were on our pricing page. If you're interested in talking about this in further detail, or if there's anything I can help you with, here's a link to my calendar. Let's book a meeting, or whatever you want to link them to. Completely automated. So you don't need to be constantly watching, or you don't need to be able to predict the future, which none of us can do. You can just get this all set up and running in the background without having to do anything. Again, letting the sales rep know what actions their leads are taking is super helpful. So you can have, if this person was on the pricing page, or if they requested a demo, whoever owns that lead will get an email notification as well that says, hey, so-and-so was just on the website, they did XYZ, here's their lead score, here's some resources that you can send them to help move them further down to the next stage of the funnel. There's so much more that you can do with this, but that just comes back to being there at the right time with the right message. Email open tracking is available in the free HubSpot sales product. So when you as a salesperson send out an email to one of your leads and you maybe send them a proposal, or it's just a follow-up a week after your initial conversation, if that lead opens the email, you get a notification right there on your desktop, no matter what application you're in. So that's a pretty good time to pick up the phone and say, hey, prospect, just wanted to check in and see how things were going and if you had any questions. They're already thinking about you. You're on their mind. They've just opened your email. You can divulge that information if you want, or you can keep it to yourself. but it's super helpful for making sure that you're responding to them or following up with them at the right time. In the paid version, you'll also get click tracking. So if you've linked to the pricing page or a case study or even a proposal within that email, you also see if they've clicked on that or not. Email send scheduling. So as sales professionals on this webinar, you know that time is one of the biggest challenges that we face, and time is money. You want to be spending your time selling to people with high intent. You don't want to be spending your time writing emails, reminding yourself to send another email, going in a week and writing that email and sending it out. So what we do in the free CRM is you can schedule your emails to go out later. So I always tell reps, like, while you're on the call to your prospect, be taking notes in your email, and then once the phone is hung up, you can format it, make it pretty, spell check it, whatever you want to do, and just schedule it. Because if you're on the call and you said, well, I'll follow up with you tomorrow or next week, just schedule it right there and then, and it saves so much time. The other thing is personalization in email templates. So again, you don't want to be spending your time writing emails all day. I talked to reps, and we did a survey recently about how much time is spent writing emails. In fact, we asked the question, what do you spend most of your time on day to day in your sales role? And writing emails came up on top. That's not what salespeople should be spending their time on. They should be selling. So within HubSpot CRM, free again, you have built-in templates, but you can also add your own and customize your own. They all come with personalization tokens. So you're always making sure that you're sending personalized, tailored, and relevant emails, but you're spending a lot less time filling in the filler part of it. We have email sequences. This is in HubSpot Sales Pro. And basically what you can do is workflows for sales rather than marketing, which is what we're used to, which is a series of emails that you can schedule, you can build, and one by one you can manually enroll people in these workflows after you've had an initial conversation with them. And you can categorize them into, yes, this person's interested, but maybe not for 6 months, and you can have them in a sequence that nurtures them or keeps them warmed up across those 6 months with emails or calls or whatever it is in your sales process. It'll remind you to do things, and it's super helpful and saves so much time. Content reporting also in the free CRM. Basically what we're trying to do here is give salespeople the content that's most up to date, that's working the best and getting the most response. So it's easy to find content that you think would be helpful, but at least this way you have a library of approved documents. You know you're not sending an old pricing document with the incorrect numbers, prices, and it'll show you which documents are getting the most responses from your prospects. So it keeps you up to date, and it keeps you sending the most effective content. And then meeting scheduling is by far my favorite tool to use, not just in sales, but in any scope you can think of. It integrates with your Gmail calendar or Outlook, and it gives you a unique link. So you can have a 15-minute meeting, a 30-minute meeting, a 60-minute meeting, whatever you want to do. And sales reps at HubSpot at least are putting it in their email signature. If you want to book time with me, click here. But we're also using it in our marketing automation emails. So when we have our emails going out and we have smart content in those emails, so we can show a different message to different people based on what we know about them. If someone has a lead score of over 80, for example, that's probably someone that sales does want to talk to. So we want to show that link to the sales rep's calendar, so that person, if they should so choose, they can just click on it and book a meeting. And this, like, we're using this internally, and our sales reps their world has changed. They're now, instead of having to prospect for hours a week, they come in and their calendars are fully booked without ever having to do any outreach. It's been so valuable here at HubSpot, and I highly recommend people to get the HubSpot Sales Pro product just to try out the Meetings app. It is so helpful. And what we've seen from our customers so far using the Meetings app is that they're getting 3 to 5 more meetings booked with this automated approach, which is reducing their sales cycle by 20%. So that doesn't excite you, I don't know what will. That brings me to the end of my presentation on inbound sales. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. And I think we have time for questions.
Thanks, Lisa, very, very, very much. I have to say that the price is not an issue when you are starting with marketing automation or the sales tools anymore, because HubSpot CRM is free, and also you can try all those cool Sales Pro features that you were talking about. A couple of questions have been, erased here. One is this, that you were talking about the first responder to get to get the deals. So how fast should the inbound lead be contacted in order to get the momentum from the customer?
So I would say within 5 minutes. And there are a few cool things that you can do to ensure that. One of our customers in the States, Huify, have used an integration with Slack that I think is super cool. They basically have their own Slack channel for their sales team. And for every inbound lead that comes in, that Slack channel gets notified. They set up a Zapier integration between HubSpot and their Slack channel. And the sales manager is just watching that channel. And if no one grabs that lead within 5 minutes, he's on their ass. And he's like, there's a new inbound lead. No one has picked it up. You, James, you're going to get it. And he's just making sure that that 5-minute follow-up happens. And as a result, they've been able to hire 5 people within 12 months, and they've 6x'd their revenue. And he puts it down to, Josh is his name, he puts it down to that 5-minute follow-up.
Oh, that's a super cool thing. They call the role in that is an SDR, am I correct? Sales development rep, who takes who calls to the lead.
It could be. It depends on how you set it up in your organization.
Okay, so and then interesting number, I write it down, 64% of more revenue from the companies that have a sales and marketing alignment in place. That's a huge number. And you were saying that it was 20-something past, but it's increased in 300% or something like that. Where did you get that number?
That's from the Aberdeen Research Group. So they do research on it every year. They just in April launched a new one, so you can go and download it if you sign up. It's free membership, but that's a really great source for any kind of data on this stuff.
Oh, that's very good. We have a question in the questions pane in the control. Go to webinar control panel, and Maya is asking: is there a GDPR issues to think about with tracking people and collecting data? We are talking about this a lot now and thinking that the data we collected about our customers, GDPR makes everything so strict and ineffective. What do you think about that?
I think you need to be very honest and respectful about collecting data. So there should always be a disclaimer on any form that collects information from your leads that says, by giving us this information, you agree that you're okay for us to communicate further with you and to collect this information. You should always have that link to another page of terms and conditions on your website that goes into the legal side of all of the privacy and data information.
Honesty builds trust. I would say so, because you can basically do anything if you ask first. And so on. And we had one session today with Mika Rubanovic talking about how the humans work in the digitalized world now. That the basic idea was that thus the humans will be replaced by the machines in a sense. So there was this kind of idea on that same issue. Is that, do you agree that people know that they are leaving behaviors in the data system? So what is your opinion on that? Do people actually know that when they are going to the company's website, they are being tracked in a general terms?
It depends on who you talk to. So I think some people who are tech savvy or in marketing themselves, of course, know what's going on. So I always know if I go to a certain website, there'll be a little pop-up of we track cookies, are you okay with this? And then I'll see a Facebook ad from the same company in a day's time. I know what's going on there, but I often talk to my friends who are not in tech, and they say, "Oh my God, I was just looking at this product, and then all of a sudden it was on Facebook." I'm like, "Yeah, that's marketing."
That's clever marketing. So one of the big issues here is that well, like we talked in the first place, that the marketing will get the leads, and then the sales are not very good in grabbing the leads and taking to further in the sales process. And one of the big issues is that the companies haven't defined what kind of leads they would like to have in the sales process. So and that to my standards, it goes to the motivation of the salespeople, so that they think that the marketing is producing crappy leads, so there's no point to call them or whatever. So what would be a good start when defining an MQL lead or an SQL lead? Where would you start if you go to a company and starts from scratch? So where do you start in defining MQL leads?
I think you should start with looking at your best customers. I would look at those customers, not just who buy your most expensive product, but who retain higher and who are really happy and get involved with anything that you do, whether that's being part of customer events or referring their friends or whatever it is. Find out those really successful customers, and then look at their history with your company. What did they do before they became a customer? What actions did they take, and what trends can you identify across all of them? So did they all have a trial before they became a customer? Did they not speak to a salesperson for X amount of time? Do they all match the same company size? So I would take that lead scoring into consideration, as well as the actions that they took. So what constitutes an MQL action, but also what constitutes MQL behaviors as well. So incorporate all of that into the definition. Lead scoring can take a little bit of time to set up, but when you combine it with the different actions, like either filling out a form on this page versus a more top of the funnel page, you really start to build that relationship with sales, because they do see the difference in the conversations that they're starting to have are way more valuable, and they're closing way more deals.
One issue that has been raised here today in Twitter is that the sales managers do not want to change their way of selling into the inbound methodology because it takes a long time, and they are sacrificing the long-term goals and the long-term gains in sales and try to take the short-term benefits. Call now, you have the cold calling list or whatever. We have to make the sale now, today. So any thoughts on that idea? So
I have a couple of thoughts on that.
Yes.
So actually, inbound sales is a long-term strategy. Would you rather make a sale now that never repeat purchases and doesn't bring in their friends, or would you rather spend time setting up a process that results in customers who stay with you for years, spend far more money with you, and also bring in friends who will also have that similar pattern of spending behavior? Because really, it costs so much more to acquire a new customer than it does to keep a current customer happy and have them bring in their friends. So a sales manager really, if they don't think that they should invest the time in inbound, then they're not really thinking long term. That would be my response to that. And if you're really worried about investing time, why not just try it with one rep for a certain time frame, test it out, see how the results change, and then if it works for 3 months with one rep, then roll it out to everybody else instead of going full hog and doing the whole thing all at once.
I love the idea. I would say that, start now, do it, and get the info, get the data, and, think about the data and make the actions what you're going to do next, with the data, because it's data-driven culture, data-driven world. I have to remind that there's an inbound sales certification in the HubSpot portal, and you can get it for free. And if you type into Google, by the way, that everybody that asking that, what is the URL of that and that and that? It's Google. There is one URL. It's Google. Google it. Inbound search sales certification, and it's free for everybody. Lisa, thanks very much. It was super helpful that you know, take the part of the inbound sales day, and now you have to check your Twitter. It's been, you know, booming. There's a lot of you know, thoughts and questions, and you're at Lisa Toner at Twitter, so people could
Lisa Toner 13.
13. Lisa Toner 13. Okay, that's very cool. Thanks very much. I'm going to switch into Finnish now and talk about the next session. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks.
Thank you so much for having me. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yep, thanks. Okei, Liisalle kiitos tosi paljon HubSpotin ajatuksista ja inbound sales-systeemeistä. Me jatketaan 15.50, siis 4 minuutin kuluttua toisessa linkissä, ja silloin puhutaan sellaisesta asiasta, että mitä itsensä likoon laittaminen sosiaalisessa mediassa merkitsee. Ja palkitaan meidän Twitter-aktiivit kirjoilla digimuutos.fi, haasteena myynnin johtaminen, Mika Rubanovic. Ja hei, siinä sessiossa mä kerron mun tarinan ja mä kerron, mitä tää oikein tää Touhu Aaltonen hashtagin takana tarkoittaa. Thanks Lisa very much, and I hope you see you at the Partner Day 2017 in May in Dublin.
You too. See you then.
Okay, cool. Bye. Bye.